Hi guys, I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about lockdowns. And I know we've already had a lockdown drill this year, and in fact we've already had a real live lockdown this year. But I want us to talk and review a little bit about it and then talk about some different situations that we might be in. So we know that for a lockdown, the main thing that we need to remember is that we want to be in a classroom with the door shut and locked, the lights off, and the students, teachers, everybody low to the ground, on the ground, out of sight of any kind of windows, either interior windows or exterior windows, so that anybody that was looking in, ideally, if they were able to look in, they wouldn't be able to see anyone in the classroom. In addition to that, we ask that nobody be on technology. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, of course, is that the light or sounds of your technology could attract an intruder, a shooter, or whoever it might be that we're in the lockdown to protect ourselves against. Also, when we're using our phones, if we're sharing out on social media, especially in a real life situation, sometimes misinformation can be sent out unintentionally, but that can cause confusion to the responders and parents and different people who are trying to help resolve the situation. So we really ask, whether it's a drill or real life, that if you are in a lockdown situation, you stay off of your technology. We will communicate the very best we can, as quickly as we can, to parents, community, as many people as we need to in that situation. So we've already practiced when we're already in class and we have a lockdown, but what happens if we're in passing period or block lunch, sometime when we're not all in a classroom and we have a lockdown? That's what we're going to be practicing here in a couple of weeks, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to go through different locations and where, if you're in those locations, where you're going to want to report. So right now, what you probably want to do is think about, where do you spend the majority of your time when you're in block lunch? Are you usually down in the gym somewhere? Are you usually around table sports? Maybe you like to spend most of your time in the classrooms, in one of your teachers' rooms, or maybe you spend most of your time in the cafeteria. Wherever it is, just think about where you spend a lot of your time, or maybe the couple of places that you typically find yourself, and really pay attention to what I'm saying about where you need to go from those positions. So first of all, if you are in one of our academic halls, which is anywhere on the first or second floor where the majority of our classrooms are, kind of from the elevator on back, you are probably either actually in a classroom or in the halls right next to a classroom. If you happen to be there when a lockdown would occur and you hear it over the intercom, you would immediately get up and go to the closest room that is open. Now, teachers have been instructed to open their door, if they're in their classroom, to go to the door and allow about 5 to 10 seconds for students in the hallway to get in their room before they shut and lock their door and don't let anyone else in. So it's really important that when you hear that announcement, don't hesitate. Don't go, oh, I wonder what room I want to go to. You need to just go to the closest room. It's perfectly okay if you don't know the teacher. They know that they are going to open their door to anybody so that you can come in and follow those teachers' instructions at that time. So that's the first location. Second location is in the main hallway around the main stairwell, kind of between the office area and the library, down to our front doors. If you're somewhere in that area, sitting at the bistros or in the library itself, and you hear of the announcement, you will immediately report to the library. The librarians and the adults in the library will direct you to some back rooms where you will do your lockdown procedures there. Again, once you get into that library area, it's important that you listen to whatever adults are speaking to you and follow those instructions. If you happen to be in the main hallway by the trophy cases or down the hallway, the fine arts hallway near the table sports room, when the lockdown occurs, then you're going to go to either one of the art rooms or to the table sports room. Again, any room that's open where a teacher is, off inviting you in, that's where you need to immediately move to as quickly as possible. Likewise, if you're in the gym or in that hallway between the gym and the locker rooms, you will follow the adults into the locker rooms. You'll actually have to exit the gyms, go across into the locker rooms. The gyms are not a secure location. We cannot lock down in those gyms. So you'll follow the adults over into the locker rooms. listen to them, follow their direction, so that we can get you quickly into the locker rooms, out of sight, and safe. If you happen to be in the weight room, that is itself a safe location. The teacher in there would just lock that door and follow the procedures, and you stay right there. So what's left is our cafeteria and then the hallway kind of by the vending machines. If you're in the cafeteria sitting at those big tables, the majority of the cafeteria, you would get up and immediately file into the kitchen area, into any of the doors, and the cafeteria staff, the adults in the cafeteria, are going to help you get back into the back area so that you're safe. If you happen to be back by where they sell the pizza line, or some of those back tables, you probably don't want to wait and try to get into the kitchen area because you're pretty far away from that. If you will then go right across the hallway to room 139 or to the Wii room if it's open, and you will go into a lockdown there. If you're in the hallway by the vending machines, you'll of course report to the room 139 or the Wii room as well. So that covers pretty much everywhere inside the building. So the only thing that's left is if you happen to be outside. If you are getting on a bus or getting off a bus and just coming into the building, if you happen to be outside on the soccer field or somewhere like that, and you hear that there's a lockdown or you can tell that there's something going on, you do not want to re-enter the building. You would stay outside, you would move away from the building back by the softball fields. There will also be an adult back there that will help direct you and guide you where you need to be for that. So again, wherever you are, your goal is to get out of sight in a locked classroom with an adult and follow that adult's instructions. Let's say you're in the hallway somewhere in a situation, you try to get into a classroom and you can't. You don't get in time before the doors shut. And once teachers shut and lock their doors, they have been instructed not to open it again. And that is a safety issue. So let's say you are stuck in the hallway and there's nowhere for you to go. You need to find any location you can that is out of sight. Could be a restroom, in a stall, close the stall door, just stay there. It might be a workroom that you see a door open, pop in there and close the door. Wherever you can get to get out of sight, that's where you need to be. If you can't lock the door, it's still better to be out of sight than just be in plain sight. So that's where you would go if you ended up in the hallway without a classroom to be able to go to. What we don't want is you just wandering the halls. We don't want you just sitting there and going, oh, I missed it, that kind of thing. We need you to actively participate and make sure that you are where you need to be in the case of an actual lockdown that might occur during this time. So that does bring me to the difference between a drill and real life. Because in real life, if you happen to be in the hallway, you might be just steps away from an exit, and you see someone with a gun, or you see somebody in a bad, scary situation inside the building. It's going to be pretty natural to just leave the building and run out. And there's always a risk in that because we never know what's outside either. But we understand that that is real life. And if that were to happen, we have a relocation spot that's down at Kohl's, which is just a block or so away. So if you did happen to run out of the building for whatever reason, or you were already outside and knew something was going on, you would want to get down to Kohl's as quickly as possible, and that would be a relocation spot. The reason we have a relocation spot is because in a real life situation, it's very important that we're able to account for every student. So if we had students who just took off running and ran in all directions into the neighborhoods and they went home, whatever, and never came back and reported, then we wouldn't be able to account for you and know whether or not you were safe, if we needed to go back to the building to look and see if you were in the building. So just keep that in mind, that if that, in the event that were to happen, that is our relocation spot, is down at Kohl's, and Kohl's is aware of that as well. The other thing, if you are in a real lockdown, and I know in our lockdown that happened this year that it was a little confusing, but in a real lockdown, the police will actually come to the door, open the doors, and should escort you out. I know in our recent one that one didn't happen. It was for various reasons, but typically that's what will happen. So in a real life lockdown, if you hear Ms. Flores or myself or another teacher saying, let me in, unlock the door, it's okay, it's over. Or if somebody comes on the announcement and says, the lockdown's over, everyone can get up and go. Really and truly, you should stay locked down until the police actually come to the room. And again, that's a safety situation that somebody could be outside coercing one of us to say, that the lockdown's over when really it's not. And that's why we have that procedure. However, we are going to be doing a drill in a couple of weeks on November 14th. And it will be during block lunch. And it's so we can practice what we've just talked about, what happens when we're not all already sitting in a classroom. And in that event, we'll do it probably towards the end of block lunch sometime so that everyone can have a chance to eat. So we'll remind you, but on that day, make sure you get your lunch early so that you can have already eaten and not have to worry about what you're going to do with your food during that lockdown there towards the end. We will we'll run the drill. You'll go to your spot, wherever you can find, wherever you happen to be, and then we will at that time, because we know it's a drill, we will come on and announce that the lockdown is over. At that time, we need you to report to second period. Second period is a great place for us to be able to account for everybody and make sure that we have everyone. So at that time during our block lunch drill, once we say the drill is over, we need you to go report to second period. If you happen to have second period off campus and don't have anywhere to go to, then you'll report to the library and we'll be able to take roll for you there and make sure that you're accounted for at that situation. So that's the little bit of difference in how we're going to roll out our drill versus what would happen in real life. What I do know and what I want to tell you is that anytime we have drills here, anytime we've had real situations, you guys have been amazing. And it really speaks highly of who you are and just how seriously you take these situations. So I want to encourage you to really pay attention, give some thought to what we've said today, and be prepared for when we do this lockdown drill, because we can never be prepared completely when something takes us by surprise. But the more we practice and the more real life situations that we can get in, the better prepared and the quicker we'll be able to respond if and when we really need to. So again, thank you guys so much for all that you do when we do the drills and for your cooperation. And we will be reminding you as time gets closer of what you need to do for the lockdown drill. Have a great day.